Hi everyone, today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different today. On Instagram and Twitter, there's this art challenge going around called the Sailor Moon Redraw Challenge. So, you take this picture from Sailor Moon, and it's just her looking really concerned. And I made already versions of it digitally with Sailor Moon in my style. This version didn't really take me too long of a time. I mostly had problems with the background. But I had a fun time doing this. It was nice to take a breather from other drawings and to finally draw Sailor Moon. I have a lot of fond memories of the show. It was really funny for me, considering at the time it wasn't on Hulu and stuff like that. I remember watching the old dubs and I enjoyed it a lot. Later I would find out about the subs on Hulu and I would watch it, and I liked the series a lot. Then I found out about the art challenge going around on Instagram and Twitter, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna join this because hey, why not? I wanted to use this opportunity to try and work on my shading techniques so that way I have a better idea in future projects. And also, I made a little meme about it with Pikachu. Artists on Twitter and Instagram are doing this in their own style, sometimes with different characters from other shows, and it looks really funny. So I used the Pikachu face as my reference, and I traced over it, drawing Sailor Moon hair. If they ever made a show about a Sailor Moon Pikachu, I would totally watch it, because this is adorable! Who wouldn't like this? Well, I mean, some people may not like it, but I think it would be just a cute concept. Today, I'm going to do something different, and I'm going to paint this on canvas. Phase 1. Sketching. I'm going to go ahead and grab myself a graphite pencil. That way, it's easier for you to see on the canvas. I'm going to get a pencil sharpener and an eraser. Now I'm going to go ahead and start sketching out the round shape of the face. I'm going to start by sketching out the midline, so that way I get an idea of what way she is facing. And I'm going to sketch an underline to show where the position of the eyes are going to be. Once that's done, I'm going to go ahead and chart out, or box in if you will, the position of where the eyes are going to be, so that way I have a better idea of when I make the eyes. And I'm going to go ahead and finish the rest of the side of the face, so that way I know how big the head is. Since I've rounded off most of the face, I'm gonna go ahead and start shaping out the position of the ears. I want to make sure it's even on both sides, or get them as close as possible. I want to start working on the earrings, but I'm gonna go ahead and draw in a nose, which it's not too big and it's kind of small. So I'm gonna use that, and I think I'm gonna go ahead and continue working on the earrings now. Sailor Moon's earrings has 3 circles, and they're kind of spaced apart and floating, if you will. There's like a little moon underneath, because well, she's obviously Sailor Moon, so yeah, those are how her earrings are made. I start adding more detail to the inner part of Sailor Moon's ear, and I'm going to turn my reference back on. I continue doing it on both sides. So now, I'm going to start shaping out the eyes. I want it kind of rounded and more soft of an expression, because she's kind of concerned. And I want to make them a little bit squished, if that makes sense. So I'm going to use my box from the eyes and I'm going to use that to help chart out how I want to draw the eye. And I noticed with Sailor Moon's art style, their eyes are kind of oval shaped. They're not necessarily always on top of the top line, but for this one, I'm going to make it a little bit on the top line. I add an eyelid for Sailor Moon's eye, and I'm going to give her an eyebrow that's kind of expression, not really angry, but more so concerned. I'm going to add the underlined, and I'm going to fix the side of the eye, and I'm going to start adding more detail to the inner part. The original picture has Sailor Moon, and it has 3 individual circles. As you can see in the original reference, she has 3 little circles and 2 lines towards the middle of her eye. So it's kind of weird to describe, but that's how her eyes are for her design. I'm going to try something like that and also a little bit different. If you can't make it the same exact way, don't freak out. This is your artwork, and it's also in your art style, and that is what will make your art stand out even more. Okay, so now that we finished the right eye, I'm going to go ahead and work on the left side. Sometimes it can be a little bit difficult to work on both sides of the eyes. Some people have a harder time. I used to have a hard time, but I'm getting a little bit better now. It takes time for practicing how to draw eyes. I may do a separate tutorial one day of how to draw eyes or just simple basic things like that, which can help give you the basic ideas of how to do simple drawing. Well, considering mine can be very complex at times, it'll teach you how to advance from easier styles or easier techniques to making them more detailed. But it all takes time and patience. Practicing and working hard on drawing will definitely pay off. I know you can definitely do this. Here's a quick reminder. As you can see, I'm not really sketching super hard. I'm more so doing like individual lines. I'm not pressing too hard or anything like that. So that way you don't have to worry if you make so many mistakes, and it's easier to erase. So I finished some other details, and I'm going to go ahead and start working on her tiara, which has a triangular shape. For those of you who aren't really sure what her tiara looks like, here's a picture reference of it above. So I'm basically trying to copy that sort of type of tiara. Once I finish drawing that in, I'm going to start working on the hair, which it's kind of curve shaped. The shape of the hair is a little bit different than most. I'm going to put a picture reference so that way you can see what it looks like. As you can see in the picture, the hairstyle is really different from most hairstyles, so I'm trying to copy it as best as possible. If you need any help, you can try looking at the reference. So far, I'm noticing a problem that I keep smearing the picture, because I keep using my arm and my hand and I'm putting it on top of the pencil mark or the graphite, and it keeps smearing, so you gotta definitely be careful. Now I'm going to go ahead and start shaping her buns. Now I'm going to go ahead and shape out the other side of the head. I want to make sure her bangs on the right side are even with the left. Okay, so I'm now going to go ahead and finish Sailor Moon's other bun, and then I'm going to work on the rest of her body, because I want to try and get her pose ready. She's kind of turned in the original picture, so I want to try and copy that as best as possible. When I was younger, I remember watching Sailor Moon, and I really liked it a lot. I thought the show was really creative and it was really funny. And I loved the art. The art was really cool. And I'd have to say it's probably one of the animes that really got me more so into drawing anime. I think that helped inspire me a lot. So the show has some really good fond memories for me. I'm gonna start sketching the rest of her hair, which kind of drapes a bit downward. I'm also gonna try and refix her ear. I'll add a little bit of a hairpiece so that way the face doesn't look so funky. I'm gonna continue to add more details to Sailor Moon's hair, so that way it looks more detailed when I use line art. I'm going to focus on Sailor Moon's hair. It kind of aims a bit downward, and I want it to rest on her shoulders, so I'm going to do that. And from there, I place some of the back of her scarf thingy for her outfit. And I start working on the sleeves, and I'll find out where the position of the arm is going to be. So I'm going to draw in her brooch, and I want to continue drawing in her hair, and I want to add in her other shoulder and the sleeves. I want to make sure it looks nice and even, so I'm going to do that and go over it a couple times. Since I'm done with most of the drawing, I'm going to go ahead and start sketching some bits of the background. In the original picture, she's kind of on the floor, so there's tile. And I want to try and make these lines as accurate as possible. They're not exactly straight at the moment, they're kind of offset in an angle. So I'm going to go ahead and try and tilt my picture over so that way I get better lines. And I'm going to add some stones, like in the original picture. And we're pretty much done with the drawing. Also, quick reminder, if you don't really like how your sketch is and some of the lines you're not really a fan of, you can go ahead and always fix your drawing. And if you don't like it, that's okay. Just don't throw it away, you don't give up, and keep going at it. Phase 2, line art. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and touch up a little bit of my sketch. I'm going to go ahead and grab my Uniball Vision Pen. It is fine-tipped, waterproof, and fade-proof. I'm not really sure about using it for this canvas in particular, because I've tried to experiment on it before and it will sometimes smudge. I'm not really sure, I might risk it, I don't know at the moment, but I kind of want to, so that way I know for certain next time I do this sort of project. So I'm going to go around and sketch in the lines that I want to keep in my final drawing. Hopefully this works though, because I want to make sure it doesn't smudge. That's pretty much my only concern. So as you can see, it is starting to smudge on my paper. I really don't like that. I knew that was probably one of the risks, and I'm trying to avoid that as much as possible. So I'm going to go ahead and try and grab a piece of paper so that way it doesn't smear. I'm going to try and put my hand on it so that way I can draw in the lines without smearing as much. Overall, I learned not to use this type of pen for this project. But since I have a little bit of the sketch left, I'm going to go ahead and try and finish it with the line art. The one problem I don't really like is how it's smudging. It smudged all over my hand, and I accidentally spread it all over the paper, and it doesn't really look that good. But there's still hope. I'm going to go ahead and try and fix it with the painting phase. Phase 3, painting. Okay, so for this section, I'm going to try and change my whole canvas, because I made a lot of mistakes, and with the liner pen, I don't recommend using it. It caused the whole canvas to have all the smudge marks, and it's a big pain in the butt. So I'm going to try and fix it, and we're going to be using some good old-fashioned paint brushes and acrylic paints. I will also be using a little palette thing, and I'll need a cup of water, and I'll also be using some paper towels. I'm going to grab myself a beige color, and I'm going to put it in one of these little holes. I'm going to add a little bit of white, and then I'll mix it together, and I have some skin color. My main goal is to paint over the line art, so that way I can just have the basic colors by themselves. I'm trying to make sure the ink doesn't spread with the paint. I clean my brush every time I go over the line art because I don't want it to go into the main mixture of my paint. Since I have most of the skin colored in, I'm going to go ahead and grab my yellow. It's a big part of the picture, I need to make sure I have all that done, because I have a lot of smearing, and I want to make sure I get rid of it as much as possible. Once I finish coloring in her hair, I'm going to go ahead and start using the navy blue color for her collar. Since I have most of the blue done, I'm going to go ahead and use my skin color and paint over the markings again. So far I'm noticing how it's actually working since I'm going over it a couple times. I let it dry and then I go ahead and paint over it, so now it's not as bad. I'm trying to get rid of all these markings, and it is slowly working, so I'm going to make some more skin color, and I'm going to go ahead and paint over everything. Remember, it's okay to go over this a couple times. We want to make sure we get the colors nice and balanced. So I'm going to go over Sailor Moon's hair and color in everything with yellow. And I'm going to go ahead and make sure everything is colored in. I'm going to go on and continue adding some gray and white. Then I'm going to touch up the earrings, and I'm going to try and fix the blue part at the back of her neck. I begin to add some basic colors to Sailor Moon's tiara, and I continue to add red to her bow and her choker. Now I'm going to go ahead and get a teal color, and I'm going to paint that for my background. In the original picture there is a teal colored background. It's actually tile, but since I'm having a hard time with other colors as it is, I'm not really going to be adding those lines. So I'm just going to color it with the teal. Overall, I've made a lot of trial and error, but I'm slowly getting this together where I have to paint lots of coats over it. But it's gonna be okay. It's kind of annoying, but it'll turn out fine. I continue painting Sailor Moon's earrings. I'm gonna try and go ahead and go over the parts that have white. I want to try and make the colors stand out a little bit more. If anything, this whole project kind of teaches me to have more patience and to be careful with what I'm doing, and to at least learn not to use a line art pen, especially when it comes to acrylic, or this type of canvas in particular, because it's going to cause a lot of mistakes if you're not careful, and then you'll have to do separate coats for everything, which isn't entirely a bad thing, it's just very time consuming. Okay, so now I'm going to use some teal colors, and we're going to trace around the character. I want to try and make the background stand out a little bit more because I feel like it's a little bit diluted. So I'm going to go around in between where her earrings are and try and darken it. I'm going to go ahead and get some brown and trace over all my sketches. Since there is no actual line art at the moment, I'm going to use the brown as my line art. I'm going to start adding color to Sailor Moon's accessories on her buns. I'm going to use white, and I'm going to need some red, and I'm going to touch up anything that I see that I need to touch up on. I'm going to add some white in the position of where the eyes were originally, and I'm going to go ahead and grab my watercolor marker pen. I'm going to start tracing where the eyes are supposed to be. It's a little bit funky and kind of hard for me to tell because I painted so many coats, but I'm going to try and figure it out. Then I'm going to go ahead and start tracing around all my picture with the watercolor marker. I'm then going to go ahead and continue coloring in my picture with the dark brown, and then I'll go ahead and use my watercolor marker to trace all around. After doing that, I'm going to go ahead and start finishing Sailor Moon's tiara. Then I'm going to continue and start working on her eyes, which look a little bit off to me, but I guess they'll have to do. I continue to use my watercolor marker, and I trace around every single detail, and I'm also adding extra lines that weren't originally there. Then I'm going to go ahead and make a different tone of skin color, and I'm going to use that for my shadowing. I'm then going to make a darker yellow so I can highlight and add shadowing to Sailor Moon's hair. And I'm going to go around and touch it up with that marker again. So, through trial and error, we finally finished this painting. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you want to see more art challenges or tutorials, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe down below. And don't forget to hit the notification bell for more. And until next time, bye!